Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 314 for April 3rd, 2019. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host for this evening, coming to you live from the bottom left corner of America into the exciting journey for advanced technology, mobility, and sustainable energy. That was the applause line, okay?
Great for applause. Yay.
Whatever, who cares? Here's the explanation for all of this, okay? Everybody asks. Usually Russell's having some Diet Dr. Pepper. Tonight I'm enjoying a bottle the size of my head of one of my favorite Canadian beers, Unibrew's Lyfting du Monde, and it is magnificent.
It's also 9%. That will make you pretty happy by the end of the show.
I'm not driving anywhere tonight.
No, I said make you happy.
Yeah.
I didn't say you had to drive.
All I have to do is get to the jacuzzi after the show.
Where's that Prius that you got to blow on to make it move?
There's nothing. I'm not blowing on anything, son. Nothing.
Wow, that lasted 2 minutes.
So much for my happy mood.
I didn't do it. You're the one who took it to the gutter.
We have a whole bunch of cool stuff to talk about tonight, so let's introduce everybody here and get this show on the road. My co-host, my wingman, my something else. Just fill it in. Our friend in Chicago, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Don't worry, we'll get it in post. So first of all, I'm going to give it an absolute shout out to listener, watcher, longtime fan, good guy, great friend, Zachary, who's in the chat. Everyone in the chat, wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Dude. Yeah.
Sing it because I suck.
Right. And
that's the reason I'm not singing it.
The thing is, he said in the chat, it's my birthday. Make sure you mention Patreon. So his birthday wish is for everyone to chip in, to go to patreon.com/whatdrivesus.
What drives a show.
And
give us a birthday present.
Yeah, give us a birthday present. Throw in $1 a month. It's 25 cents a show, 25 cents a quarter, or a quarter a week, or whatever. And I promise it'll go to very good. It'll go to good use. So speaking of going to good use,
we do not use these funds to purchase beer.
No. But yeah. And as someone called out in the show, I think it was last week's show, and I promised if we ever start making any sort of money doing the show, I'll buy better internet. I promise.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Canada, the home of my favorite beer, our friend in Canada, founder of the Tesla Life and host of the Tesla Life show, and a Model 3 owner, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We've got a ton of interesting stories lined up, so we shall see where that leads us.
And next to him, our friend from the lovely Carolinas, wearing a nice, is that sort of a tealish blue? A little bit tealish blue shirt. Looking very stylish, Mr. Casey Green.
How are we doing today?
How are you
doing?
Well, Tesla's running at high speed around concrete tracks. You know me. I'm rendering another one right now. That's why you hear the fans in the background.
YouTube.com/Casey Green. Do
me.
check out Casey's videos because, he's a little crazy. He's a lot crazy. And speaking of crazy, a man who's absolutely not crazy, in fact, very, very rational, the founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, your expert for EVs and hybrids on the Front Range, Mr. Paul Guzik.
I've heard him described as a rad dude.
And a rad dude.
Yeah.
Yep. And my beer sponsor is Upslope Brewing right here in Boulder, Colorado. So good local brewery just down the road.
You guys have a good selection out there, don't you?
All right.
We have a shit ton of craft breweries.
All right.
The Craft Brewery of America Association is in Boulder.
Excellent.
So if you ever come out to Boulder, anybody out there in listener land, you'll have no trouble finding a cold one.
Yes, it makes it sound like, Paul, you're probably the second best reason I can think of to go to Boulder.
That's right. Well, just wait till there's a nano brewery opening about 500 yards from here in the same complex as our shop. So that will be a little dangerous.
That's it. We'll never see Paul again.
Yeah. We were talking about, instead of running an air hose through the shop, we'll run a mirror hose from that. Just have a tap on the wall.
Wow, it just goes down.
Productivity will go up. Yeah.
Oh, it will go up.
Yeah.
You're a productivity enhancer?
Yeah.
I just want to get you on record with that, because not in my world it's not, but
no.
We'll see by the end of the
5.
show. We're here, folks. Just in case you're keeping track. As my friend Casey Green likes to say, and I'm going to quote him directly here, because this was not a phrase that I don't think I ever used on this show before. Breaking news! We have breaking news in between the Tesla Life and this show. News broke, important news. So let's talk about it. A little company in, oddly enough, Palo Alto, California. They allegedly make some kind of electric car. They're called Tesla. Announced their first quarter 2019 production numbers.
Oh, snap. About time. What do we get?
Yeah.
A total of...
Okay, I want everyone to guess. Give you a hint. It's more than 7.
So was it more than last year?
It was 110% more than the quarter of last year, which really isn't a comparison at all for obvious reasons, right? Do I have to explain to you,
production hell,
viewers and listeners? Well, yeah, they were still in production hell. They couldn't crank out Model 3s at all. Allegedly now Tesla is cranking out Model 3s at will. We're talking about a total of 63,000 vehicles Tesla delivered in quarter 1 of 2019. Of that, 50,900 were Model 3 and 12,100 were Model S and X.
Each or together?
Together. 63,000 vehicles. That is nothing but a disappointing number.
Oh.
I mean...
How many were still in transit? Did they mention that this time?
I didn't see a transit.
Because last year they said, we had another 10,000.
Are they counting that came off the production line or got delivered to customers?
We're talking deliveries here.
These are keys in hand.
Delivery. At the end of the first quarter, approximately 10,600 vehicles were in transit to customers.
Okay, because I was like,
globally,
yeah, but I was like, where did the rest of the Model S's and X's go? Because that should have been 20. There they are. I'm not saying it's all Model S and X's, but I was missing 10,000 cars that I was expecting.
So, I don't know. Is that a good number or a bad number?
It's a little bit of a disappointing number, I would say.
The first quarter is always soft.
It absolutely. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because there's a end of year rush for people with tax credits.
End of year rush, Christmas, and then nobody's got their tax. Well, not nobody, but a lot of people don't yet have their tax returns back. So.
Yeah, it's a bit of a soft number. What was the number last quarter? It was, of course, end of the year. It was like what, 63,000 Model 3s alone.
Mm-hmm. And we get what, one more quarter of the half credit?
Yeah.
Okay, and then it halves again, and then it disappears.
Yeah. Correct.
All right, so there'll probably be a push at the end of this quarter. How did it do compared to what they promised us, or not promised us, but guided for?
What did Elon tweet? 500,000 a year.
He did. Yeah.
So 63,000 in a quarter. That's not quite 500 in a year.
Yeah, that's
a little short.
Run rate.
About half.
Yeah.
But no one's counting, really.
Right. Yeah. That's not material information, so don't worry about that.
Let's see.
It doesn't affect the stock price.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
How many were there again? 10,000 on a boat.
60,000
on one boat.
Hang on.
I don't buy that there's 10 boats out there, 5 boats or whatever.
10,000 on any boat, plus another 12,000 Model S and X. Plus how many?
60,900.
60,900?
50, 900.
900. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I just looked at the stock price. It did go up 2% today.
Yeah.
Go figure.
But that's not after market trading.
No,
well, aftermarket, it didn't really go. It went down 39 cents.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much staying flat. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And again, what other than as a tool of excitement, what does the Tesla stock ever make any sense?
No.
Yeah, it's
not logical.
We could use it as a random number generator.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. So I don't know what this means in that I think what we need to see is the financials, which we won't see for probably another 2 weeks.
Maybe another month and a half, right?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, they push that out further. Yeah.
They're like Microsoft. Microsoft has like a half-year rotation for the real world.
How nice. How nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. So we did say happy birthday to Zach.
We did. Yeah. We almost sang it.
Man, almost.
And then he wished us a happy birthday by asking for donations to Patreon. And while we're on that subject, I want you to ring that bell. So click subscribe, ring the bell, and let's see how many thumbs up are listed on this video.
Now, the thing is, it's only if you are not a current subscriber should you click the button. Just want to make sure.
Don't unclick them. Just if they're not clicked. If it's red, click it, and then ring the bell. If it's gray and the bell doesn't have like an animation lines, then click the bell. If it has the line, then don't click the bell. So you want to make the bell rung, and you want to make the red dot gray.
And most important, you want a thumbs up.
The like button.
Yes. Is there like a manual for this? Because this is extremely complicated.
I was thinking it. I don't unclick it, which is true. Don't unclick it.
I want to show one quick picture. So I'm going to share this. Just want to say hello to our friend and panelist Chelsea Sexton. Hello. Chelsea's been a bad girl, and she has to go to New Zealand. And she's going to drive EVs up and down the entire length of New Zealand for like the next couple of weeks. So really, really feel bad for her. Keep her in your thoughts because I feel bad.
Yeah,
I only see 4 thumbs up, and I see more than 4 names in this chat.
All right, I think we can let it go. So, do we have any details into what Chelsea is doing in New Zealand other than just driving around in EVs?
This is a thing she did last year, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the event.
Leading the Charge.
Is it? Thank you, Leading the Charge. Thank you, Paul. It's an annual thing. Chelsea's been down there at least once or twice before, and it's they do promotions and they do these big, huge group drives up and down the island. And I mean,
there's
islands.
Yeah,
most
at least two islands.
Is she just on the main island? I think though.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
I know the event is on both.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So, we'll see. She goes down there to help rally the troops and speak at the promotional stops and stuff, and of course, suffer through the awfulness, the unrelenting awfulness that is New Zealand.
Right.
In summer.
That's me.
Yeah, and it's autumn now, isn't it?
Late summer now.
Late summer, yeah.
It's probably hellish.
I know that picture looks horrible. I don't know how anybody
snow on the ground.
All that ice on the water. Tough.
Yeah. Clearly, that's ice. Yeah,
exactly. Well,
sea is frozen over.
Our thoughts go out to Chelsea at this terrible time.
Stay warm.
Stay warm. Bring me back some beach sand, girl. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of prayers.
I think the next story is Paul's.
Yes. Kind of exciting news, I guess.
Very.
The Ford Escape is coming back with a plug-in hybrid after being away as a hybrid for a few years and apparently failing in the market compared to other compact SUVs. 40 mpg as a hybrid and the plug-in version 30 miles of EV range. So kind of like the Mitsubishi Outlander, but from a company with a dealer network.
Yes.
And a decent amount of experience with hybrids. They've had the Ford Escape hybrid back in 2005 and Ford Fusion hybrid, the C-Max hybrid. So I think that's pretty cool. And when is it going to ship? It's 2020 model.
Yeah.
So late this year.
Yeah, we're hoping it'll be Yeah, it'll be out later.
The plug-in will be next spring.
And unlike every other Ford car, it will be built in America instead of Mexico, which is also nice.
That's kind of
and it has, we've been saying to Auto, let's put like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in the car from the factory, and that's what they're doing with this, with a 8-inch touchscreen. So it's ticking a lot of the boxes. So let's hope that it's real and it's affordable, and that there's still tax credits when it's available.
Yeah, Ford's got a lot of tax credits available.
Yep.
Yeah, because let's see, how many EVs and plug-ins has Ford sold so far?
However many Ford Focus EVs that they couldn't hide.
Right. Yeah. Not many.
Not that many, no.
So I mean, you're exactly right, Paul. This is huge news. Great to see Ford coming back, bringing back the Ford Escape Hybrid, the FEH, that a lot of people who had the first gen absolutely loved their car and drove it until they couldn't drive it any further. Really disappointed.
Yeah, and I will say the battery system that they used in the Ford Escape Hybrids in the original couple of generations was rock solid reliable. I mean, those batteries never fail. I mean, and proof of that is if you try and buy a battery from a junkyard or salvage yard or recycler, they're really cheap because there's no demand for them because they just don't fail. And the reason they don't fail is very early on, Ford used an air conditioning cooling system to cool the battery instead of ambient air. They actually have a separate branch of the air conditioner system in the back of the car where the hybrid battery is. And it's not as good as liquid cooling, but it's sure better than like a Prius ambient air cooling system.
Right.
So,
one little fan.
Yeah.
Squirrel cage motor.
So they got, and then, of course, for those of you who don't know, Ford, when they did the original hybrid stuff, they licensed a lot of their technology from Toyota instead of trying to come up with their own.
I thought that they had independently invented it, but they were going to run afoul.
Nope, they did some deal with Toyota.
That was Hybrid's Energy Drive, my friend.
Yes, the first gen Escape was the Prius technology. You're right. And then they did do their own stuff for the Fusion.
Right, but the Escapes were always
very
similar to the Prius, except for the rear drive was mechanical, not an electric rear drive.
Right. Yeah, when I spoke with the engineer, though, he said that they had done it, but they didn't get it to market in time, and Toyota, boom, and so they had to pay the royalties or have to re-engineer it again.
Well, there's another rumor that Toyota's going to start letting people have their technology for free, but we'll get to that later in the show.
You're right. Oh, teaser!
Wow.
But anyway, thumbs up to Ford. I mean, they've realized that the market is saying we want compact SUVs, we don't want sedans, but they're making a hybrid and plug-in hybrid. So
had the Volt been this, it would have not had to been killed off.
No, they would have kept running. And maybe Chevy's got some compact SUV platform in the works that they're going to resurrect some of the Volt technology. So we'll see.
If they do, tell us. For God's sakes, tell us.
Well, now they should tell, because people are going to say, well, I'm going to wait for the Escape to come out before I buy anything.
Yeah. And so, Paul, I'm going to say, you had mentioned, you compared this to the Mitsubishi Outlander, and what some people may know, what some people may not know. Last Wednesday, I received a Press Fleet Outlander PHEV, so I drove that until this morning. And you can look for reviews coming out at some point in the near future. And this morning,
they're a great piece of car.
Oh my God! Yes, really.
They have like 4 dealers in the country.
That is a shame. It really is a good car, and that comes through in my review because I really, really enjoyed it. And then this morning, the Press Fleet people swapped out the Outlander and gave me a Kia Niro EV. So I'll be driving that for the next 7 days until next Wednesday. And then you'll see reviews of that coming up in a couple of weeks.
YouTube.com/whatdrivesus.
Exactly.
And if you're a subscriber, you'll automatically be notified when Tony posts those.
The subscriber with the bell. If you don't have the bell, it might not notify you.
Oh, yeah, you got to hit the bell. We're all learning. And speaking of learning, our friend Mark has some educational information to share.
Yeah, there was a recent poll that happened in the UK where they polled potential customers of new vehicles. They went out to a study group of 9,000 people, and they found that the average consumer rating about what people knew about low emission vehicles was typically a 2.7 out of 5 in the category of knowledge. Although the same group of people put themselves at about a 3.8 out of 5 about petroleum vehicles. So they took those numbers, and then what they did is they started to ask that the same group do a little research over some time and familiarize themselves with low emission vehicles, which would include hybrids and, of course, plug-ins and complete BEVs. And they found that after some research, shockingly enough, is that people retain some of that knowledge. And they went up on the scale that the 2.7 increased, by a percentage point after about 4 weeks of looking at different articles and information about alternative fueled vehicles. And really, what the whole point of the study is that people just don't know they exist. Like they even though there's many of them in the UK, they're not realizing that the option is out there. There's no research done on it. People are just blindly going to dealerships and lining up and buying the same vehicles that they've been buying for years. And it's only the people that have done the research that it becomes an option for them, that they can move into a different type of vehicle because they're comfortable in the information that they've retained over some time. But they find that that's not happening. And it's just not. And I'm kind of surprised because the UK and Europe seems to be a little bit ahead of North America when it comes to knowledge on the plugins. And it just seems that they have some hurdles to still overcome, at least in the UK, with these 9,000 people.
Well, and it comes back to the salespeople at the car dealers.
Of course.
Yeah. Not.
I was surprised by how low their understanding of the gas cars that we've been buying for 100 years was.
Right.
I mean, yeah, their electric car knowledge was low, but their gas car knowledge was not that much better.
You would think they'd be at least in the fours.
Right, right. It's like, we know they exist. We don't know they exist.
Yeah.
That's it?
Maybe it's a bicycle culture.
Maybe.
Yeah, we do need to know the level of the questions. I mean, there are some things like,
can you change your catalytic converter?
Right. Yeah. Could you do this? Or, explain to me how pressing the pedal makes your gas car go faster.
Right.
Most people would say
it's magical.
Yeah. But EVs are so much simpler. You would think that it would just be easier for people to learn how they work.
It may be easier for them to learn, but I think the problem is they're not opening their minds to it in the first place because, as Paul mentioned, you go into a dealership and they're just kind of pushing you into the same shoehorn you've always been pushed towards, which is a gas vehicle.
Yeah.
But hopefully education is the key here. I don't know how besides test drives and being exposed to it through public events and such, it's tough. Although one of the things that some have talked about that is a bit of a transition is when you go to another city and you have an EV as a taxi cab.
Yeah.
You get to drive in it. Someone's experienced. They can tell you all about it. And that seems to push people's education quite quickly. Besides ride and drives, is EVs that are turning taxi fleets into strictly EVs is a big plus for the EV movement.
Yeah, when I was running Uber in my Model S, it would get a lot of good questions and a lot less of the guard is up, except for the people who worked in oil of the other dealership or had to hear noise.
So you're saying the Shell executive was not open-minded.
But you see, the thing was, even they were, because it's a nice private car, and you can hear their questions are still more open than they would be had you talked about it just to their face in their environment.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, well, can I power it with oil? Yes, you can. Just run a generator.
Run your generator with Shell gasoline.
Yeah.
A lot of it is I look back to this, unlike my experience with Prius and being an early Prius owner, not super early, but I mean earlier than most. And it really, people didn't get what was going on with hybrids until pretty much everybody knew somebody that drove one.
Yeah.
It was that tipping point. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this isn't scary. This isn't weird technology. These aren't golf carts.
Yeah.
These are cars. And it's we're still a ways away from that.
Well, that Toyota reliability helped too.
There's no question about it. And the fact that the Prius delivered on what it promised.
Yes.
They didn't overpromise, they underpromised and overdelivered.
They had one of us in every corner of the room.
Yeah, well, and lots of us, right, talking about it. But that is super important, and you can relate that to a lot of things. People need to have some direct contact with what's going on before they're
me too, Evan.
With it.
Yeah.
I would be very interested if what car, and of course, what car's a UK thing, they wouldn't do it here. But if somebody did something similar here, what the American response would be, I suspect it wouldn't be any better.
Would you think it would be much worse?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So Eric Stevens says I was right.
He said you were right?
Yeah.
Okay, kick him out.
Actually, Ford did develop on their own, but due to similarities to the HSD, they had to license it.
All right.
They didn't have their lawyers check it out first.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah,
because notice that Honda came up with a completely different system.
A really
shitty system.
There it is. Yeah.
But they also did it first.
Yeah.
Listen.
Well, no, I think they...
In Japan, they were second.
Yeah, I think they researched that they couldn't copy Toyotas and they didn't want to pay Toyota.
Right.
That's what they came up with.
They said, Toyota's got something really good. We don't want to copy it or license it, so let's develop something really crappy that our Civics
would burn out. All the Primo batteries, and so then when you had a couple miles on your Honda, it would die.
The system is garbage. Now, maybe the new clarity and stuff is good. I haven't looked at the engineering on that, but we're
talking IMA, yeah.
IMA is just god awful.
So, Paul, check me on this though. But IMA was designed for the original Insight, which was a very, very specific, narrow.
Yeah, but then they put in the Civic, they put in the Accord, and
and it sucked. And it sucked. And they tried to improve it, and it sucked. And their battery management in general sucked.
Yeah,
it was the battery management that was their biggest issue.
And people had to hack the IMA.
Their CVTs are awful.
Those were bad too. Because you had to change the oil. Even though they said you don't need to change the oil but twice in the lifetime of the car, you had to change it.
Look at the Honda IMA CVT. There's like 9 billion parts in it.
Yes.
Look in the Toyota hybrid CVT. There's like 7 parts.
Exactly. Every time they changed my IMA CVT oil, they had to reflash the thing and then relearn it. And
it's awful. Don't buy a used Honda hybrid. Please
Danny's Honda rant.
Yeah, oh my God. Those were the days.
Off the topic request. Anybody out there in the internet land know of a independent hybrid shop similar to Boulder Hybrids in Greensboro, South Carolina area? If anybody has any tips, please submit them.
All right.
I might need one of those.
A relocated customer looking for.
Well, we'll certainly try and help you out.
There's a guy here in I think Myrtle Beach who comes around and changes HSD batteries out, but that's all I know of.
Do you know his
needs a battery? I can find out tomorrow. And
we'll post it on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
and I want to backtrack a bit to the Escape story. One thing I forgot to mention, I did want to mention, is on the plug-in Escape. The electric port is on the driver's front fender, like Chevy Volt.
Yeah.
It's a great place to put it.
And the Bolt, too.
In the passenger rear quarter panel, like my Prius Prime is. Or, the nose of the Leaf isn't bad, but the front passenger fender is the best place to put a charge port on a car.
Unless you're parking your car on the street overnight and needs to charge out there.
That's where the nose comes in.
Yeah, but how many street places can you charge it? Very few.
Yeah, that aren't dedicated.
And I don't
my favorite were in Charlotte, all up and down the main drag there. You've got like out front of Starbucks, out front of the museum.
So just park on the wrong side of the street, facing the other way.
Exactly. Then you get a ticket for that.
Yeah. I will say at work, the lots where I park, you nose in, and it's got the diagonal thing, so you can't really back in. It's a one-way thing. And the Prime and the Outlander have the thing, like you said, back passenger. And the cord just barely reaches, and it's so much worse in the winter when it's stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No fun.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of no fun, we mentioned Chelsea Sexton, and
You call her no fun?
9 minutes ago, Chelsea posts this. Look at the hell zone that she's living in. I mean, the poor girl's suffering. That's gravel down there.
Oh my gosh!
That's gravel.
Wait,
Surrounded by that horrible landscape. I have no
That's
idea.
really dirty ice. It's gray ice.
Is that picture upside down?
It could be. What kind of dystopian hellscape it is that she's fallen into. Chelsea, hang on, baby. Hang on.
But it's not beside an Arby's.
It's beside nothing, it looked like in the picture.
Yeah.
This is in Omarama. I have no idea.
Let's go with that.
But there she is in New Zealand at one of the most primitive supercharger sites I've ever seen. God bless them, though. I mean, it's there.
At least they got chargers. They may not have pavement, but
yeah.
I wonder if the chargers are plugged in.
Somebody was charging.
Well, speaking of things that are sort of odd, a bird. Everybody here is, of course, very familiar with Bird, right?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
That's okay. So Bird is a scooter company. The little scooters that you see
throw in the lake.
In some urban places, that you get on them and you ride them for $1 a minute or whatever it is, and you get to where you're going and you have fun and hopefully you don't hurt yourself. Bird announced a new program today that I think is fascinating for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's certainly a money loser. It's called Bird to Work. And what this is you can set up with your Bird app on your phone. You can have a Bird scooter delivered to your home by 7 a.m. at no extra cost, just a normal cost for the Bird. And then you take your little Bird scooter to work and somebody comes by and picks it up. Now,
so
anyone see a problem with that?
Bird, or how do they make money?
That's a lot of labor.
No, logistics. Bird possibly can't possibly be making any money here, but what do you do when you're done with work?
You typically want to go home.
Yeah.
What's in the bar? Hang out.
You have it dropped off at your workplace?
There's nothing in here about what to do at the end of the day. Apparently, they think wherever you work,
go to work once, you have to stay there forever.
Right.
Right. You're right. It's called Bird to Work. It's not called Bird from Work.
That's true.
That'll be another. No, the Bird from Work will be $100 a ride.
Yeah. It'll be a full-blown Uber.
That's their business model.
Wait,
now
right?
they do have a bunch of people that work for them called juicers.
Yeah.
What the juicers do is they pick up the vehicles at night, they bring them to their location or home, and they charge them overnight and have to deliver those Bird scooters back to a specific place by 7 a.m. in order for them to get paid for their job. So obviously Bird's going to give them a few locations to drop them off outside of the normal route, which will be people's houses.
God, they must be losing tons of money.
I can't even imagine how much money they're losing. Well, I love the idea, but the other side of it,
on the volume, though.
Well, yeah, so right. Sure, they're losing money on individual reservations, but they make it up in volume. Like, yeah.
The old Amazon joke. And at this point, if you're going to take a Bird scooter to work, you're going to do that maybe once or twice, and then you're just going to go buy one of the damn things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a scooter here. We're not talking about a Model 3.
Yeah.
Whatever. Our next story goes to Mr. Casey Green.
We're talking about. That's what I thought you were leading into before when you were saying. I thought you were slurring on the Bird, like abroad.
Oh,
yes.
A bird abroad.
Yeah. So our friends in the EV land are taking over Europe. The Norway situation was impressive. What was it? 50% of the deliveries or more were EVs this quarter, and last month was overwhelmed by Model 3. which was incredible. And then we got a report shortly after that Sweden was also being taken over by the Model 3 and other EVs. And somebody else had reported that the resale values of fossils in Norway, not liquid fossils, obviously, but the fossil cars, ICEs, had been plummeting. So, for an example, you might have a car that would be normally worth 20 grand. You're trying to find a place to unload it for 5, and people still don't want it.
And those are called what? Casey?
Fossils.
Greasy babies.
Oh, yes, the greasy babies. Nobody wanted to be left holding the greasy baby.
Like a hot potato. It's like a greasy baby.
A greasy baby.
Greasy baby. It's like a hot potato. You don't want to be left holding it.
Stick in my head for the rest of the night.
Watch out for them greasy babies.
Yeah. Well, I think in Europe too. What's gas now? Like $6 a gallon out there. So
I think it's $6 a liter.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know what it is.
But definitely, there's more incentive to get an EV than in America.
Yeah. And so even the leasing companies are noticing this as well. So they're actually raising the cost it would take you to hold that lease, because when you're done in your 3 years and you want to return it, they're going to be left with the greasy baby.
The greasy leasy baby.
Yes. And so they're taking into account that now they're going to have to find a way to get rid of it. And I was talking with my coworkers, and I was like, well, why don't you take a vacation, take your car from Norway to mainland, and sell it there?
Yeah. Or sell it to some Saudi Arabian or something.
Oh, but don't they want the newer, like, fancy cars? Yeah.
Yes. They want something with the Bugatti logo on the front.
Exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah, they don't care what it is, as long as it has a Bugatti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is anything else, Casey? I don't want to.
No, that's all I got.
Okay, fair enough.
I was just excited that they're taking over Europe, and if it works over there, it might work over here too. Eventually.
I mean, Europe certainly has some advantages for electric vehicles that we don't have. Like Australia, we just have way too much space, way too long a distances. And the advantage of Europe is that it's compact and dense. But there are ways around that, and we'll get there.
I think we overstate their stretchiness. Their cities are definitely compact, but their rural is still very much like ours.
Right. Yeah. It's just smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just smaller, but it's there, and it's undeveloped as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough. On the Tesla Life show, which you should be watching in the previous hour, we talked a little bit about this, and I wanted to bring it up. I actually connected to the actual abstract of the report that this was generated, but and then Tesla kind of went today and made some announcements about full self-driving.
Yeah,
that they're deploying the new computers soon for full self-driving.
Yeah.
So of course, me being me, the things that I wanted to talk about were two things that stood out in this report from China. This is from Tencent. This is a big, huge company there that has paid some white hat hackers to kind of work.
Is Tencent a rapper?
No. It's a communications company in China. I think they were somehow tangentially involved in the Faraday thing. They almost got sucked in, but then they were like, "Oh no!" Kind of walked away.
Smart move.
Two things that were interesting in this to me, and are specifically because of the decisions that Tesla has made that make them stand out from the rest of the companies deploying sensors, vehicles with sensors and auto-piloting hardware. One thing is trivial, but it's interesting. Tesla doesn't use the standard moisture sensor that most other companies use for the automatic windshield wipers.
They used to use it themselves. My Model S 2016 pre-refresh never had a problem flipping the wipers on.
So you're saying it had the moisture sensor?
Yeah.
Okay. So
in the S, but not the 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not just the 3. My Model X doesn't have it either.
So they've changed to this visual sensor, and apparently
$3.
The visual sensor can be very easily faked out.
Yeah.
Is that trivial? Yes, it's trivial. I said that at the beginning of this. It's trivial. The important thing, though, was again, and Elon Musk has talked about, if humans can pilot vehicles with their eyes and their ears, certainly Tesla can do so with visual sensors as well. Tesla has eschewed some of the sensor arrays that other companies are using heavily. Tesla's only using cameras and radar.
Where are my car's ears?
I'm sorry?
My car has 8 eyes and no ears.
Yeah, I have no idea why it's used, right? We could have heard that key scraping when it was in Sentry mode. Like,
yes.
But nonetheless, so one of the, and again, do we know whether or not this is the right decision? We don't. And I'm not saying that it's the wrong decision. What I'm saying is that Tesla is standing alone and saying these sensors are enough. Mm-hmm. What these hackers did was find out that they could take something about this big, 3 of these little things, and put them on the road and fake the Tesla sensor into thinking the lane was diverting. Instead of continuing to go straight,
they just lay down Post-it notes on the road.
Well, I don't think it was Post-it notes that they were using, and I don't know exactly. I haven't read through the entire 60-page abstract yet. But in going over this, they deployed 3 small pieces of something on the road, and the Tesla sensor saw them and thought the lane was diverting, and the lane was not. And of course, if it was the case, this car would have gone into incoming traffic and tragedy would have ensued, exposing a weakness to a visual sensor only array. Now, would LiDAR have helped that?
Not if it was foggy.
I don't know. What I think it's a matter of software and interpreting the data from all these sensors, but
processing speed.
I'm sorry.
And processing speed.
And processing, but I don't even know that it comes just to processing speed, right?
No, they looked at what the system currently measures itself with, and they tried to put aspects in place that would divert
that
it.
System,
and they found it.
Yeah, they mimicked the rain, and then they found out the minimum size and shape to make it look like the lanes move.
The lane reflectors, and they put them in a certain spacing, and then they got
the confidence above whatever threshold the car needed to make that
change.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And so the good news is possibly additional programming, additional processor speed may solve this problem, or your car may follow whatever bits of trash happen to be left on the road. Now,
I don't think it'll follow trash. I've seen mine in parking lots where I am able to activate it, where they've redone the lines. It'll follow the new lines, whether they're right or not. Usually they are. Why would you?
Right or not.
Why would you repaint your parking lot with the wrong lines?
Clearly you have not gone. You have not gone on Google and searched for. You had one job.
Yeah, there are those. You see it in my own videos where I am parking on the superchargers, and some numbskull has helpfully marked the supercharger stalls so that they don't line up with the charge ports. And so then you got to get out and park on the line or over it to make it actually connect.
I don't have a conclusion.
That leads right into it. So my visual system,
gravel parking lot, you don't have the lines.
Yeah, you don't have lines for gravel parking lot. But my human visual system was fooled by the lines, and so the Tesla, the company, was saying that it could happen with a human, and the human should be watching. So so there's a perfect example of the human being fooled. I back up to the charger, it doesn't reach. Oh, some numbskull has repainted my lines. And then I fix it. It's like it usually happens when they resurface their lots because they're getting old and crackly. And I made up a word there. They're old and full of cracks and everything, and so they reseal it, and then either they just use whatever template they already had for the parking spaces, or sometimes they just completely change it. They're like, "Oh, this will be helpful," and they've never driven or seen a Tesla, so they don't know how to line it up correctly, and they put you so that you're in the middle of the machine or actually in the middle of the sign instead of in the middle of the machine.
keep in mind, whatever you've heard, whatever you've seen, you are a beta tester.
Yeah.
If you're a Tesla owner, and you need to be in charge of the vehicle, because that system is not.
It's not 100%. Yeah, it's
not anywhere near 100%. Maybe
But
sometimes it works.
Cadillac calls it Copilot.
Yeah, they call it Copilot. Super Cruise, yeah.
Okay, but someone else calls it Copilot, which is
Nissan.
better.
Nissan calls it Copilot Assist.
Yeah, yeah. That's a much better term for something like this at this stage in evolution.
Yeah, I would eliminate the word pilot completely, but yeah, I agree. Assist is super. Assist. It can't do it on its own, and there's no way you can't drive the Nissan system.
If you turn your wipers on, it disables itself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but what's funny is it's the same chip as that Autopilot 1 system. It's the Mobileye, and my Tesla would go all night with wipers going.
Wow.
Yeah, my AP1 car.
So if you're out there with a Tesla and you're not sure, at any point, for goodness sakes, keep the hands on the wheel.
No defeat
Or
devices,
close to it.
water bottles, chain.
Jam and orange in it.
Yeah, none of that crap.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
We'd like to see you here next week.
Yeah. We need every listener. And speaking of needing every listener, Tony Schaefer has the next story.
So some exciting news. So some exciting news in the world of hybrids. Toyota, who, as we know, rolled out the Prius in 1997 in Japan and brought it to the United States right around 2000, has decided that they are going to release a lot of their patents. And they are giving
1997 technology.
Yes.
Technology.
No, this goes back to the original Toyota 1953 Corolla. They've decided that you know what, they've sat on that technology long enough. Maybe someone else would want to build a Corolla. No, of course.
The 96 Camry.
Yes, exactly. So what they said was until the year 2030. Global automakers, Toyota has pledged to electrify the growing number. So a lot of manufacturers have said that they're going to electrify their vehicles by 2030, which is where I was going with that. But Toyota has said that they're releasing nearly 24,000 patents on the technologies that it is used in their Prius. And so someone from outside Toyota, who follows Japanese manufacturers, has said that Toyota realized that by themselves they can't usher in full adoption of hybrids and plug-ins. And so what they've decided to do is force the issue and give everybody their technology so that other people can use the technology to manufacture hybrids and plug-ins. So that's
so Honda. Yeah. There's your cue.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Go ahead and do it. We know Tesla did the same thing a few years ago.
And didn't BMW do it last week with their electrical stuff, or one of the German manufacturers, BMW or Daimler?
No, they're giving out their diesel patents.
Oh, okay. I thought it was battery.
Or is it their black box patent?
Yeah, they're giving out. Yeah, that's on a thumb drive. Yeah. So one thing that is interesting is that in this article, which is from Reuters, it said Toyota is also betting on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, and that's where I stopped reading.
Right.
They should give out those patents.
There you go.
Yeah. But so this is hopefully a really big deal. And, maybe GM and Ford and Chevy and maybe others are not going to jump on this. But think of the possibility of a startup company looking for something, maybe not even in the United States, but internationally. They could use Toyota's patents and they could start their own hybrid manufacturing company or something. You never know.
Do you think this might be kind of like the horse has already left the barn a while ago, and then they're shutting the door behind it? Yeah. Like for a hybrid system, is the market already leaped by this, or is it still relevant for a new company to use something like this?
I would say it would work with plug-in hybrids, but I'm not an advocate of any fossils. And Evan brings up a good point. Our own Evan, Dr. Evan Fusco says, does that indicate that they're moving on from hybrids? And like you said, closing the door behind it, it looks like they are.
Isn't there a time limit on or on patents? Don't they expire after 17 years anyway?
Oh, you're thinking it's the end of their term.
And then they're just like, they're public domain anyway, so they're like saying, "Hey, we're giving them to you." But
so what publicly held company gives away valuable content for free?
One says they do.
Competitors.
Yeah.
Tesla?
No, they don't. Nobody does.
They say they do.
Not valuable if you're giving it away. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, their whole want to rise all boats philosophy.
I'm sorry.
The way they say they want to.
They increase the market for everybody.
Yeah. You know,
yes.
You can serve that steaming hot bullshit
right
somewhere else, Mr. Green. Right. I'm telling you that this is the company that won't even give us like hard financial numbers or delivery numbers or that kind of thing. Don't tell me that they're giving patents. So I understand that Elon has said we're giving all of our patents, but I promise you, there's a caveat. There's something in there. And these are patents that aren't.
If you're in the automotive industry, you can't use them.
No, it's not bad. You definitely can't sue them, and there's a little more fine print that we haven't all seen yet.
Yeah,
But again, Elon said years ago we're going to give them away. Has anybody come up and said, "Hey, we built this car, and by the way, we use Tesla's technology to do it"?
The Chinese. And then they got sued for stealing other stuff that wasn't on the list.
Right, who stole it anyway? Oh God, why did I go there?
Give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah.
That's what they're accused of.
I don't know, Tony. What's the wrap up on this?
I think that horse has left the barn. We've shut the door behind it.
I think it's good PR. You know, hey, we're giving away our patents. You could have them. Great.
Yeah. And it is a good question as to whether or not Toyota is going to pursue electrification.
Yeah, and they're also giving away all their patents on carburetors too. So.
Yeah. Yeah. They've said Toyota has said that they are going to look at full EVs eventually. But it's
instead of batteries, they're going to have
a long time out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as they get those solid state batteries ramped up, which
that's true. That's true. They are going for fuel cells or solid state batteries.
Given Toyota's history, they could have a whole factory cranking out solid state batteries, and all of a sudden it'll be like, "Hey, guess what?"
That is true. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
That's the way they do things.
Yeah.
Which is not saying that that's what they're doing. I'm saying that's the way they do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell they're doing?
Making hydrogen cars.
Oh, Jesus.
And then paying you to drive a Corolla instead. Because there's no fuel.
It's all of that's Japan. And I get it. You know, that works there and that's what's going on there. But yeah, it's a silly thing. Hey, and speaking of silly, one of our big, huge mobility companies had an IPO.
Oh, yeah.
Lyft. Yay, Lyft, Uber's big competitor, right? Had a big IPO. Woo! It opened at what, $72 and an oversubscribed offer. Yay! Right now, they're at $70.
Dun, dun, dun.
It jumped up to 85, and since then, it's done pretty much nothing but go down to about $70. Why?
It's like driver pay.
Well, let's be honest. These people haven't made any money. They're not going to make any money.
They're losing massive amounts of money every year.
And where's the money coming from? I don't know. You know,
shareholder
suckers.
Yeah, I mean, is it like an Amazon bet that if you hold on to it long enough, it's going to work?
But Amazon was secretly building warehouses and the logistics network and their IT network.
That is such a good point, right? And what secretly doing? Trying to figure out ways to not pay drivers.
That's right.
Honestly, if paying the drivers is really the difference, it's still not going to work. If it took the drivers out today, they would still be losing money.
Yeah.
I don't, but whatever. Hey, it's a stock market. Yeah.
If they would price themselves below a taxi, increase driver pay, and be available and safe, because Right around the corner, somebody else got murdered thinking that they were in a Lyft or Uber, and it was some random stranger. They need to increase confidence in the market and turn a profit.
So here's an interesting line from the CNBC article. Lyft revealed a 2018 loss of more than $900 million ahead of its IPO. So they're about to go to IPO. They announced they lost almost $1 billion, and people are like, "That's a damn good buy. I'm going to purchase that." Yeah, that's sound right there.
Yeah, one of my coworkers is like, "You gonna buy some of that?" I'm like, "Hell no! I think they're losing money."
I think in some ways the phrase that pays for this decade is we don't sell products, we sell dreams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sell future.
Well, you gotta have enough money to make the dream survive into reality. And losing $1 billion in a year doesn't do that.
Probably not, but I do like those little lift lights in the cars.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Especially the one that like lights your name up in the color, so you know you get the right car.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
I've seen the colored ones, but
Yeah, the kind of purplish thing that's sort of
there's the purple one, but now they have a new version of that actually
has your
in like the LED digits. Yeah, spell out your name. Yeah, and
like it rolls like Times Square.
Yeah, it's like Bob, Jimbo, whatever your name is. It'll
right.
And the color will match too.
And if you feel like playing Lyft roulette, you just hop up and say, "I'm Bob."
Yeah,
right.
Where am I going?
Well, then they'll ask to see your phone, and your phone will be the wrong color, or you won't have it at all. So
I wasn't even really being serious.
Well,
So
I mean, like I
it
said,
looks
literally around the corner, a young girl was plastered out of her mind, got in the wrong car, and it wasn't even a Lyft, and she was murdered. So,
yes, we all heard about that. It's at $70 right now, down from its high. Any bets on whether it's going to go any higher?
I'm glad I didn't get in on that.
Not for a long time.
If they announce some sort of change in the product or policy, they can, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon.
Yeah, the high was 88.60.
Nice.
So if you bought at 88.60, you're a dumbass.
Paul, you could have stopped at bought.
That's beautiful. Well, that is all I got.
Paul, you
betting on Uber buying them out.
You got a future as a stock analyst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show on CNBC. You're a dumbass.
You can have your own
watch
show.
that. Paul Stop Show. Hey, dumbass. I love that. That is all I have this week. Do we have any more things, gentlemen?
Oh, there is the autopilot demo on the 19th.
Autopilot demo.
Yes, we'll have a couple of shows. Yeah, we'll have a couple of shows before there to prep that.
But good to see that the Hardware 3 is now being thrown into production, and we'll soon have a demo.
Yep. And a correction, full self-drive demo, not an autopilot.
This is a Tesla demo?
Yeah. It's for stockholders, but they say they're going to webcast it. So perhaps we can, depending on what time it is.
You can say it.
Another snooze.
After the Model Y thing? Really? Really?
Well, he's rarely late for the investors. Just putting that out there.
I got nothing. Okay, maybe who knows? We're here. That's what we do. Is we talk about advanced technology mobility.
Yes.
For dumbasses.
Let's do some shout outs or go home, gentlemen. I'm going to start with Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Well, just a hello to everyone in the Waterloo Region EVA. We've got a meeting coming up end of April, and we've also got an event happening that a electric school bus is going to be brought to us to demonstrate. So that's going to happen April 20th, I believe. But you can follow all our activities on our Twitter feed, WREVA Group, and see what's going on. And if you're in the area, you can connect with us and RSVP.
I'm sorry. I just put a little note in our comments for stock or for show titles. One popped up, and that's why I'm laughing.
Yes.
It's a good one, though. Mr. Guzik.
I got an announcement to make. Finally got my new used car inventory website on the air, so you can go to boulderh.com and see all the fine automobiles we're selling. We don't have a huge selection just right now up there, but it's starting. And there are some non-hybrid and non-EVs, and it's because we took them in on trade for people who bought hybrids and EVs. So if you're in the Colorado market and you're looking for a used hybrid or EV and some non-hybrid or EVs, check out my website, boulderh.com.
What if I send an auto transporter to come pick it up? Will you ship it?
We'll ship anything.
Absolutely.
There
And
it
look at that. There they are.
There they are.
You could have these cars.
You could have yourself an IMA hybrid.
Look at that. A 2010 Prius 5. What?
Yeah. That's
look at that. Here's fine.
advanced technology package.
I need that one.
I like that price.
There you go.
Wow, it's got a lot of miles. But we did replace the hybrid battery on it. So
Yeah.
You
got a
did.
3-year warranty.
Wow.
And while you're there, you could visit the Nano Brewery.
It's not open yet, but soon.
Wow.
And got a really sweet 2016 Chevy Volt. Mark has any friends down here looking for a Volt?
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like Volts too.
Second gen Volt, can't go wrong.
No,
Yeah.
nice
It's a
car.
solid car.
Wow. I'm always a sucker for a Prius, but that's because I've owned. Speaking of owning 3, and I don't even know what that connection that is to this, Mr. Casey Green.
I've got 3 Tesla racing videos.
There you go. Something. I had faith in you.
Over at youtube.com/KCGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. I've got a exterior 360 shot of a Model 3 in track mode, just hooning it out in the parking lot, driven by our own I1 Tesla's Brian. And then we've got myself driving the Model X P100D with Ludacris around the NC car track. That one went up today. And then going up tomorrow, after YouTube is done crunching on it, I've got another 360 video of a Model 3 long range on the track driven by the instructor. And we have a little bit of conversation. It was quite fun to watch.
Are those live yet?
All but the Model 3 is live now. The Model 3 will go up probably about 5:30.
Cool.
Tomorrow morning, Eastern time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, youtube.com, Casey, KACEY, green as in green, Casey Green. Do visit them. You know who I'm going to next, right? Are you ready? Are you there? Tony Schaefer.
I thought
Take it away, my friend.
it was Mark Coughlin. No, so
Mark Coughlin?
no, I know.
No,
I'm
that would
just
be the
kidding.
second time.
Yeah, I know. I was just kidding. So shout outs to everyone in the chat room. Of course, thanks for spending an hour with us. Really do appreciate it. Danny Cooper, who keeps whatdrives.us up and running, and Philip Barclay, who helps me keep our Flipboard news aggregator populated. Thanks so much, Philip. I do appreciate it. If you don't use Flipboard as a news aggregator, check it out. If you do use Flipboard, look for the What Drives Us magazine. Of course, you know to find us on youtube.com/whatdrivesus, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, and other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Show titles that I have so far from Lee Moon, Bird Juicing. It's as bad as you think.
Yeah.
We do have Greasy Babies in Norway, and of course the one that made Russell laugh out of seemingly nowhere. Lyft stock buyers are dumbasses.
I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
Yeah, and I have to say all 3 of those pretty much seem like clickbait as far as I'm concerned. So
Greasy Lift bird juicing.
Wow.
Yes.
Can I do that? Can I go?
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, you can do
That
that.
actually is a table of contents.
Greasy Lift
Bird
bird juicing.
Juicing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's almost
Not in order, but hey.
Paul, I'm totally obsessed with looking at your used cars now. I have to end the show so I can see if I can afford this 2015 Nissan Leaf. I just don't know how I get it back from there.
It'd
He'll
take a long
ship it
time.
if you send a guy.
Yeah, I'd take a
Yeah, you can
really, yeah, to get
Or do
back.
80 miles at a time and just pull off and charge it.
But wow, I'd love to have that car.
Yeah. Oh,
Tony? Oh, what?
I could tow it with my Model X.
Oh. Don't need it.
No, not for
Buy the
me. I could tow
Highlander
it to
hybrid
you.
as well,
Oh,
and tow it behind the Highlander.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
regen, so that when it gets you, the battery is full.
Yeah. Okay, that's the way you're not going to sell two cars to me. But you knew. Well, let's wrap this up because we're already over our hour. Thanks to everybody, as Tony said in the chat room. Thanks to all of these amazing panelists, Mr. Paul Guzik, Mr. Casey Green, Mr. Mark Coughlin, and of course, Mr. Tony Schaefer. Thank you.
Oh, and Dr. Fusco on remote.
No, I'm not going to thank Dr.
No.
Fusco.
He was getting his valuable
Come on
input.
the show.
No,
He
he's
was
not.
busy
In the
working with his
chat
family.
room. He needs to come on the show. He knows how to do it.
He was pulling signs tonight.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm pulling something, okay? And you
Yeah.
leave me out of it. Maybe
Pulling
that's the
Greasy
show title.
babies.
He was pulling signs.
He was pulling something.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
He says, bruh.
Yeah. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Visit us at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. We're at Twitter at whatdrivesus. The big important one, hey, how about supporting the show for as little as $1 a month? That's less than 25 cents per show. You can support this show on patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow. Patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow. $1 a month? You don't have $1 a month? You hate us, don't you? You really, really hate us. I mean, you watch us out of spite just to see us embarrass ourselves every week, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's
why I-
laughing because, that's
why I do it.
There's a whole Reddit page about like, what did those assholes do this week? Well, okay, enough of that. My thanks to Unibrew for making some really amazing beer. And thanks again to all of you who watch and listen every week. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Oops. There we go. Goodbye, music. We'll see you next week with another fun-packed show. And Chelsea, have fun in New Zealand.
Thoughts and prayers, Chelsea.
See ya.